Hey everybody, Willie Myette, creator of Jazz Edge. Welcome to Ask Willie Live. So this is a time in which you can ask me any of your piano-related questions, music-related questions. So I want to just say hello and welcome to all my students joining me on Zoom, but then also hello and welcome to everyone joining me on Facebook or YouTube. If you have a question, go ahead and chat it in. Don't wait until the end because we might run out of time. So if you have a question, now is the time to ask. And let me go over to my students here on Zoom here. Steve, Willie, could you give me fingering advice on the Confident Improviser Lesson 30 Variation 1 and 31 exercise, both in the key of D? Sure, I will show that to you. Let me just pull up that music here. Let's see, you said 30 and 31. Okay. Oh, yes. So that was this right here. So I would say start with 5, 2, and then at this point, I would actually go 3, 2, 1, and then cross over with my second finger, and then 5, 4, and then 5, 4, 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 5, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 1. So now you could, if you wanted to, go 5 and then 3, and then scoot into your pinky there. So I like that 5, 2, 3, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 5. All right, so that's 30. Let's take a look now at 31. Just bear with me for a second. My computer's running a little.
Hello, Willie.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the 30 was the variation one I was having a problem with.
Oh, variation 1. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So that one's actually easy. So thumb, second, middle, 4, and then you can go 3, 5, 5, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that's that. Let's take a look at 31. Now, what did you need help on 31? Was it the exercise or the variation?
Yeah, the exercise is kind of weird.
All right. Okay. All right, so I go 4, 3, 2, 1, and then I would cross over here. Yeah, probably 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 4, 3. And at that point, then the rest of it is just your chords there, right? So
yeah.
What do we got here? Okay. Yeah, so 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay?
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
You got it. All right, so other questions. Da, dee, ba, great big whole note. Willie, I'm on TCI number 10. How can I start to gradually incorporate these techniques into songs, or should I try to get all the way caught up? No, you do not have to get all the way caught up. So if you're doing TCI, you're on number 10, just keep flowing through it. What you want to do is you want to now start to find those same chords that you're using in TCI in your music. For instance, if I go to TCI exercise number 10, and I just pull this up. Okay, so This is what you got here, right? So. Okay, so there's your basic exercise. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to find this progression. Now the good thing is it's a pretty common progression that you'll find it in in different standards. But like for instance, I could do this. So the first song that comes to mind for me is Ain't Misbehavin'. That would work over this set of chord changes right here. Excuse me. So what you want to do is play the song, and then during your solo that you can start to bring in this line. Now you might say, okay, well that's great, but now that just gives me two measures to improvise over. Yeah, so what you do is you start with these two measures, and then the rest of it, you do the best that you can, right? If you find any other place, like, like this. Here's a 2-5 progression, right? So something like this. There's nothing to say you can't do. Right? So you can move that, this line here into many, many other keys. So I would also suggest doing that. Isolate and pull out some of these ideas from these exercises, move them into other keys. So when you see something like D minor 7 to G7, you're like, oh, okay, that's a 2-5. Well, guess what? You could do that 2-5. I mean, yikes, how many places can you do the 2-5? So let me pull something up here and I'll show you. So if I go to my standards by the dozen, let's do The Way You Look Tonight. All right, and I'll pull up the lead sheet for this, okay? So here's the lead sheet for The Way You Look Tonight. All right, so now immediately you could see, right, you got a 2-5 right there, you got a 2-5 right there, you got a 2-5 right there, another 2-5 right there, kind of a 2-5 there, kind of a 2-5 there, 2-5 there, 2-5 there, right? So, I mean, you got these 2-5s all over the place. So what you want to do is isolate this. Turn this sound off here. Bear with me for a second. Okay. So, all right. So it's playing the triad and then coming down the 7th chord. All right. So that's what's going on there. Playing the triad, coming down the 7th chord. All right. So then if I come in here, I'm like, all right. Well, let me do that over G minor. So then I can start going through. All right, so now notice that this is 1 measure, 2 measures, right there? But this is just 1 measure long. So what I did was I changed these in the quarter notes. Da, 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 ba-da, ba-da. And then I can, kind of wait and bring this line in on the back half of the beat. So in other words, I could be playing that G minor 7, C7, okay? So I'll start with the beginning here, F. You see how I can like change the rhythm around to still make that lick fit, right? Or right, so again, see what I'm doing here for this lick? Rather than just playing this as no, instead I'm going. So I take that 1 measure lick and I make it into a 2 measure lick, right? But the point is that I start to take these ideas and I start to bring them into songs right now. So this is right from your standards by the dozen, so you could easily link TCI and standards by the dozen together, right? So that's what I would do. I would isolate some of these licks that you're working on in TCI. Take the ones that you like the sound of, right? That's what I would do. I would take the stuff that I like the sound of first and then really work that lick many different ways. Don't just think it has to fit neatly into a 1 measure, right? You might have to expand it into a 2 measure, right? You might have to do some rhythmic tweaking to it, maybe even adding in some notes, right? Same thing goes the other way. If it's 2 measures long and you want to bring it down to 1 measure, well, you might have to take some notes out or play some notes faster. But definitely, you do not have to wait until you are caught up on TCI, because the reality is that we're starting to move away from jazz in TCI and start to branch off into some other styles. So if you like wait until you're caught up, you might find that like, okay, well now we're shifting away from jazz and once we're in TCI 30s. So, right, you're better off to start to use those concepts now, bring them into your playing now, because I find that if you wait until later, then it makes it very difficult to understand, why am I even bothering to do these exercises, right? Like why do I do these exercises? If you're not getting some immediate benefit, it makes it difficult to see that. So that's just one small way right there and how you can start to bring TCI and standards by the dozen together like that, right? All right, let's see. Go ahead, Bruce. Question on recording?
Yeah, just my current system is pretty simple. I just have a USB cable going from my Yamaha digital piano to my iPhone. So I record the audio and the video, simple. And I have an audio cable going from my computer into the audio input of my digital piano for the Band in the Box or the iReal Pro, whatever. So if I wanted to add a microphone to that system, would I just need a simple mixer, or
Yep.
That's all I need?
Yep. Yeah, you need a simple mixing board, and what you could do is like if you go to Amazon here, right, and you just type in mixing board, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then in here, what I would suggest you do is, well, first of all, I mean, like right off the bat, like even something like this, that's a pretty good price, $95. That gives you 4 mic inputs here.
Yeah.
But you could take a look at, you could figure out how much you want to spend here. But like, let's take a look at this one, even this right here.
Yeah.
Now, I would take a look at the reviews. It's 4 stars, 18 reviews. Okay, that's not too bad. It's $40. The challenge is, I mean, who the heck is that? Toyun? Never heard of them before.
Yeah.
So now you want to figure out, like, okay, do I want to stick with something that's kind of a little bit more tried and true? All right, so if that's the case, then go up to the mixing board. Doesn't matter where I put it in. I put it in Yamaha afterwards. I know a Yamaha is a brand name. Okay, you're going to see all different prices here, but okay, immediately right there, $95. And if I just go through and I just take a look, that one's 90, 179. Okay, like so you get this one here, $79. But I don't think this is a Yamaha. You got to kind of just pay attention.
Right.
Right? But Alesis would be good as well. Okay, so that's not bad. Now the thing is, you take a look at something like this. So you're going to be in the range of like $50 to $100. Okay,
Yeah.
You got your 2 mic inputs right there. But the other cool thing is that it should also have USB as well. Yep, USB audio interface. Okay, so that means that then on the back of this, let's see if I get the back picture. Where is it? Not showing the back of this thing? Oh, okay, there we go. Kind of hard to see, but right down in here, see the USB in the bottom right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a USB right here, and that goes right into your computer. Okay, and then what that offers you is then you can choose, like in GarageBand. I know you happen to be on a Mac, but you could choose in GarageBand that interface, and then you could record all of your audio right into your Mac. Now, that's where you're going to want to go with this, okay?
Yeah.
You're probably not going to want to record into your iPhone anymore. That might get a little janky.
Well, that's where the video, that's how I get the video. I mean, the only reason I use the iPhone for recording is for the video. If I want to post it or whatever.
And you're
that's the thing.
Yeah, and you're trying to, okay, so here's the option for that. I guess the easy option would be still keep bringing the audio into the iPhone, but what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go out of the mixer, then into the iPhone. Okay, so you can do that. Once you start, there's other options on how you can get video into the computer along with audio. Like one of the things that I use here in this whole setup here is I use something called OBS. All right, it is free software, ironically enough, right, and that works quite well. And then I can choose different camera, different cameras. So I got a camera going up here, I got a camera over here, right? So I got all these different cameras going on, and I can bring that all into OBS. Now I'm going to tell you right away, it's not, it's a little bit more technical. So if you're not interested in going down that route, then I wouldn't do that. So. The mixing board, though, is going to be the key element for you. You're going to have to then go out of the mixing board into your phone.
All right.
All right.
I can handle that.
Yeah, start with that, and then you know what, as you want to upgrade, then we can talk about it, and I can, again, it's kind of piecemeal, right? We kind of start a little bit.
My singing career could be very limited.
Hey, and who knows? You might be the next Sinatra,
Yeah.
We don't know. Put some of those videos online. Hey, they might be
just a quick note. A few years ago, a friend of mine and I went to a karaoke bar.
Yep.
And after a few drinks, we were kind of goaded into getting up there and singing. So he chose a Steve Perry Journey song.
Oh, jeez.
And I said, I know better.
Yeah.
I picked a Jimmy Buffett tune, Margaritaville.
Yeah, there you go. That's a much better.
Which you could basically talk the lyrics.
Right.
I did much better.
That's great. All right, Michelle, go ahead. You have a question on when to move on to the next tune?
Yes, I do. It's. I was wondering, when we receive comments, you give me comments last Tuesday on things to improve, to progress on. Is it necessarily the next week's work, or is it time to move to another song? It's a more general question, in fact.
Mm-hmm. All right. So first of all, one of the challenges that we have is that, when you're asking, like I'm in this position in which I'm the teacher, you're the student. So when you're coming to me, then I feel like I need to give you some feedback and advice, right? Mm-hmm. The challenge, though, is on the other end for you, every time I give feedback and advice, well, that's just more stuff to check off and practice, right? But conversely, if I'm just yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Right? You're going to be like, well, why am I even bothering to come to you? Because you're not giving me anything, okay? So with that said, that dynamic, and it doesn't matter if it's online or even in-person lessons, right? So the one thing you can always ask is during these coaching sessions, you can always say, hey, look, here's a song. Do you think I should move on? And I'll give you my suggestion as to whether or not I think you should move on or not. So that's one way of going. The other way of going, like I've said before, is think, once you get to about 80%, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but you should be able to go through and you should be able to play it, okay? And then at that point, then you could say, all right, I'm going to go on and I'm going to move on. There's a question, though, you want to ask yourself, though, before you move on from a song, and that is, do I want to own this song forever and ever, or is this just a passing fancy, okay? Mm-hmm. So if it's just kind of like a passing fancy and it's just a tune that okay, yeah, I'm enjoying playing it right now and, I'll play it a little bit more. But if I forget it down the road, I'm really not all that worried about it, okay? Because you can't remember every tune, right? So you're going to want to kind of pick, well, which ones really speak to you? Like a tune that I play a lot is Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I really enjoy that tune. I think it's the harmony and melody are beautiful. So that's locked in my memory banks, right? Whereas some other tunes I might know, but kind of like I might need 5 or 10 minutes to play them to like, oh yeah, that's right, that's where it goes, right? They wouldn't be like necessarily performance ready right out of the gate. So you want to ask yourself that question. So I know you're doing My Romance. You know, you might be like, okay, I'm kind of done with I'm sorry, not My Romance, My Funny Valentine. Yeah, so maybe you're like, I'm done with My Funny Valentine at this point. You could play it. You got an arrangement there. I would say, yeah, sure, you can absolutely move on. Don't worry about striving for perfection. In fact, striving for perfection is it's just a surefire way of just upsetting yourself. Okay, perfection is elusive, right? Like you'll never be able to hold on to it. And if you could grab perfection, it's as soon as you grabbed it, it's disappeared and it's gone someplace else. All right, so forget perfection. All you're trying to do is you're just trying to get the arrangement as good as you can get it. Right now, the longer you stay in arrangement, the longer you kind of silo yourself on that, and then you run the risk of burning yourself out, right? And getting to the point in which, like, if I hear this tune one more time, I'm going to like go nuts. So you always have to balance that. And that's not something that I can do. That's something that individually every one of you has to do, right? So if I said to you, yeah, Michelle, you can move on from My Funny Valentine, but you say, you know what? I really love this song. I want to get it down. I just want to just get it down better. Fine, by all means, go ahead and do it. But you have to just constantly, judge your motivation. If you start to feel like, oh, I got to play this tune again, and I can't do anything else because I'm not done with this. And then if you like start to throw up your hands, like forget it, I just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like the motivation level is what's kind of almost the most important thing in practicing piano, right? If you can keep your motivation high and you're feeling good about what you're doing, then great. Then you could stay on the song for months. But if the motivation level starts to change and you start to feel a little bit like this is a drag, well, that can drag on your practice, right? Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yes, perfect. I think I will stay one more week on it, at least.
Yeah, and then remember, there's nothing wrong with a simple arrangement. One of the things you're doing in My Funny Valentine is you're adding a bunch of rhythm in there, right? So you're not just doing... right? Simple, right? So you're adding in some more rhythm there, and adding in that other rhythm is kind of messing with your sensibility of cut time and 2/4, and I think it's getting into your head, right? So you're starting to get into your head right now, like, oh, do I know this? And I'm going to tell you, it's super easy for all of us to get in our head. It don't matter what level you're at. I can get in my head, okay? You can get in your head. Just had a rehearsal here last night. We're working on these chick tunes, right? Got some other players coming in, great players. It's really easy to get in my head. Oh, I'm not as good as them. I don't know all that they know. I'll give you for instance, sax player John McKenna, who you're going to see on the stream and whatnot. Just a killer sax player. Love the guy. I've played with him years ago. Haven't seen him in a few years though. And it's like, we love playing off each other, and we're like kind of like, equal level players. All right. So he's burning. I'm trying to burn on this stuff last night. He's like, oh man, great ears, always listening. And I'm thinking to myself, I started running like, do I really have great ears? Do I really hear everything that he's doing? Am I really that good enough? Should I be? See what I'm saying? See how it's so easy to start getting in your head about that stuff. And that's where you go, bam, 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 get out of my head, right? It's like, get that stuff out of your head, because it really does you no favors. It does you no good, it does you no favors, and it doesn't really help you to move forward, all right? So forget about all of that questioning. It really comes down to, what do you want to do? What do you enjoy? What do you like? If you like My Funny Valentine, you want to get it a little bit better, by all means, stay on it for another week. But if you're starting to get in your head of like, well, it's just a tune. Move on. Now, someone might say, Willie, that's terrible advice, telling her to move on when she hasn't gotten it down yet. Yeah, well, here's the whole idea of pedagogy and curriculum and understanding teaching and the way that people learn, is that when I tell you to put it down right now, first of all, if that's a burning, passionate tune for you, you're going to come back to it, right? Obviously. But what will happen is you put it down right now, and it allows your brain and body to kind of catch up with one another. Because oftentimes the brain and the body are not in sync with one another. What I mean by that is not some fruity crystals and all of that. What I mean is, like, our brain understands the theory, but our hands sometimes just can't play it, right? Happens to every one of us, okay? Sometimes you need that time away to kind of have it all catch up. How does it happen? Psh, don't ask me. I'm not a neurologist. I assume it has to do with chemical pathways and neurons and all that, and forming those pathways, and it takes time and yada, yada, yada. There's a whole bunch of science. You can read up on it. But we do know that it's fact, right? Sometimes you just need that time. So then you move forward on something else. You're learning new techniques, getting new theory and techniques under your fingertips. So then when you come back to My Funny Valentine, you know, now you're coming back with a fresh set of ears, with a fresh set of fingers. And what you'll find is like, holy smokes, now I can play the darn thing. And you'll scratch your head, why can I play it now when I couldn't play it before? And you know what? Who the heck knows, right? It's just the way that it is. But I have seen it time and time and time again, right? So trust me when I tell you that you don't have to dive deep on this one tune, because guess what? My Funny Valentine was there 10 years for you. It'll be there 10 years in the future for you. It's not going anywhere. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You got it. Marilyn, I have a comment about podcasts and a question about the blues webinar. Go ahead, Marilyn.
Just want to say I really like the podcasts, and I hope that you continue.
I will.
Especially 41 and 42. I'm really trying to hone in on the target notes and working on that. So that's helpful. And the other thing is about, I listened to the webinar on the blues, and I didn't download the stuff for a few days. I got the piano, the main song example, and then the 4 pages of progression matrix, I guess you call.
Yeah, it sounds like you have everything. Sorry, go ahead.
Is there more than one video? The video I listened to with it just covered the part where you were just showing people how to play. But when I heard it, you were telling us how to use it. And is that on there? Or is there a video for that?
I did 2 separate.
I didn't get or something.
Yeah. I did 2 separate videos. One was the initial webinar. That was the one that was $5. Okay. That one you would have received an email.
I got that
with the link. You can go there and download everything there. Right. The other video that I did was part of the course. Okay. And I did, and that was sent out just to people who are in the course, right? So if you saw that other one, all of that, so let me put it this way. All the videos, all the music, all the resources are in the course. So we can make this simple. If you purchase Summer Piano Jam, the 2021, or you upgrade it, all of it is in the course area. So just go to summerpianojam.com, log in.
I did not. I just did the $5. So the only video that I would get then is the one that, which is the first one, I guess.
Exactly. That's it. Yep. So
having listened to it, I can just figure out how you take different sections and move them around. And
basically what you're not getting is in the course, all of those different, all of those different parts, I broke them all down. You get the sheet music. You see how I play it and all of that. With the webinar, you just got that it said C to G, C to G, like that kind of stuff. It just told you the progression. So the voicings that I'm using, stuff like that, while you can see it on the webinar, you don't get the detailed or.
But I can just take a different part and just move it around on this page, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Figure it out myself. Okay.
Yep. And then guess what? If you find that you can't figure it out, course is always there for you if you're interested.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You got it. Gil, I know you got a question. Let me just pop over here to social media. Arturo, so I'll be back with you in a second, Gil. Arturo, sus chords as dominant chords, how to approach this? All right, well, first of all, a sus chord is not quite a dominant chord. It has a dominant chord kind of feel to it, but you're going to not be playing the third. You're going to be playing the sus4 instead. The question is a little bit vague as to like how do I approach this. So it really kind of depends on the use case. Depends on like, are we talking left hand? Are we talking right hand? Are we talking arranging? Are we talking while playing with the melody? So let me just tell you a couple of things about the sus chord that I think you would find interesting. Number one, to create a nice sus chord voicing, go down to the 7th and create a major 7th chord there. So I go to the 7th of C and then create a B flat major 7th chord there. So for D, see how it's a C major 7th? For E, for F, okay, so it's a great sound right there. You could use that with the left hand as well. All right, so you see how I'm like playing the root 5, and then I'm getting my sus chord there. Okay, so that's a great voicing for sus chords. The other thing is when playing that sus chord, okay, melodically, you're probably not going to be playing the third in there, but there is a way in which you could do this. I really like this chord voicing as well. So this is a C7 sus4 with the third in there, okay? Now, it only works one way, okay? 4th on the bottom, 3rd on the top. If I change that around, you can hear, not so good. Although, I kind of like the sound too. It's kind of an interesting sound, but you're probably not going to want to do that. Whereas that, D on F, so that's another cool sound as well. Last thing I want to tell you is that with the sus4 sound, also adding in the flat 9 there is a great sound, okay? So that's sus4 flat 9 kind of built right off of my Phrygian scale. So adding in that sus4 with the flat 9 is a very It's a sus4 with that flat 9, killer sound in there, right? So when you have a dominant chord, try playing it as a sus4 with a flat 9 and see how that works out for you. Hello, Valerie, how are you doing? And Nathan, you are muscle pianist. Okay, have no idea what that means, but you know what? I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. I've been going to the gym now, so muscle pianist. All right, Gil, you had a question for me.
Yeah, not as much of a question as a comment. I really liked what
Is this
you
about
did
muscle
today during the
pianists?
gyms. There you go.
Yeah, oh, there you go, Gil. Nice. All right, go ahead.
I really liked what you did today with the gems. You identified the Billy Joel cliche.
Yeah.
Very useful. And I was hoping that you were going to do more of that identifying, because after being in jazz for decades and decades, playing standards and getting away from pop, not even listening to pop hardly, you know, that brought back a lot of memories, and I realized, made me realize my audience, like, since I'm playing restaurants, the standards are now the 80s and the 90s, and that kind of thing would really, really help me when I go back to playing in the restaurants again.
All right, so I don't do a lot of that, right? And I've thought about this for years as to why, and I kind of understand who I am as a player and why I'm that way as a player. But before I explain that a little bit deeper, let me just tell you that Paul did a whole bunch of lessons on the site, like there's like the 80s. So if you just do a search for 80, right, or 80 apostrophe S, there's a whole bunch of stuff that Paul did in which he's doing like all of like, here are all the keyboard parts for these different tunes. All right, so I've definitely take a look at some of those lessons. Oftentimes, I don't like transcribing a bunch of licks from a particular player because I really just want to kind of like, I listen to them and I kind of soak up what I get from my ears with them, but I want to kind of play my own thing, right? So, and I know that might sound like a cop-out to some, and if it sounds like a cop-out, well, all right, fine. But that's like, know thyself, and I know my own playing. I didn't want to play like other people. I wanted to like kind of create my own stuff. So what I like to do is I like to take like maybe just one idea like that Billy Joel thing there, and rather than transcribing a bunch of Billy Joel licks and trying to figure out like, okay, well, this is how I'm going to play it and sound like Billy Joel, instead I want to kind of understand the theory and then kind of build my own stuff from there. So then my playing sounds unique. Now I think that that's actually worked out into my favor as a player, because I have heard many times from many other players, not just audience members, but players. And you as a musician, you know, when you're hearing stuff from other musicians, it's kind of like a different weight than when you're hearing it from the audience. And what I hear from other musicians is like, oh man, your voicings and stuff, it's really interesting. It's like the word interesting comes up. And I like that. I like that they think that my playing is unique and interesting to their ears. What I'm not hearing is like, oh man, you sound just like Keith Jarrett. You sound just like that player. That's what I never wanted, right? Because I don't want to sound just like them. I want to sound like me and have my own creative voice. So with that said, like I said, if you want those licks and that kind of stuff, definitely check out those lessons that Paul did on the site, because there's a bunch of content there, the sheet music, the video, and all of that he broke down a lot of that stuff. So you have it all on the site. I just didn't do it.
Yeah, I just like having a little bit of that, because usually I play my way, you know, when I go to the restaurants, you know, and it goes, you know, people like it. And, but every once in a while, somebody will come up to you and want to, you know, can you play like New York State of Mind? And they want to hear, I know that they're looking to hear certain signature sound, you know, just once, understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, there's like certain like licks and intros and whatnot, and they want to hear that kind of stuff. And again, that's, you know, you want to figure out if that's what you want to do with your playing. And it's not right, it's not wrong. It's just you figure out your own direction. For me, that was never my thing. My thing was never like if you want me to play New York State of Mind, you're going to get Willie Myette playing New York State of Mind, right? I stood to that 25 years ago. I still stand to it today, and I'll stand to it 25 years in the future, because I want my interpretation. If you just want to hear me play Billy Joel stuff, yeah, no, I ain't going to do it. Absolutely, will not, all right? Because if you want that, listen to Billy Joel do it. Why would you listen to me do it? Now, I'm not arguing with you. I understand what you're saying, and I know that when you go out, yeah, people are going to be looking for this certain stuff. I would turn it on its head, and I would say, hey, look, if you have an interesting arrangement of New York State of Mind in which you're bringing Gil to the table, and it's like, oh, wow, that's different, I think that is always going to supersede what somebody might be like listening for. Well, you didn't play that Billy Joel lick in measure 17, you know? Like, yeah, no, I didn't do that Billy Joel lick. Instead, I did my own creative stuff with it, all right? So, again, everybody has to make their own decisions as to which way they want to go in their playing. That's the decision that I made. But like I said, if you're looking for more of those licks, check out some of those other lessons. I also did, I think that there's, Paul also did the New York State of Mind tune as well. So like the intro and all that stuff, I think you could get all that stuff in that lesson. So if you haven't taken a look at Paul's version of it and you want some of that signature stuff, go take a look at that for sure.
Yeah. I just want to get a feel of what it felt like, you know, because you forget, you know, it's been so many years. I forget what the feel. I get where you're coming from though. I never did believe in copying, you know, and I used to have to do that when I played in top 40 bands and stuff. Have to learn, and that's why I won't play in them now. I had some offers, but I don't want to be the guy that has the keyboard, the synthesizer making that little stupid lick anymore. Yeah. But I just wanted to get the get the feel of the atmosphere of the time, so I can bring it into what I'm doing now.
Take a look at that
what
lesson
you
that
did,
Paul did, because like I said, he did the whole New York state of mind thing, and then I'm pretty sure the intro and all that is in there. So that would be that would be the next stop for you.
oh, okay. But that was a great jam session today. I really got a lot out of that.
Oh, good.
So I
Thank
just
you.
want-
I appreciate that. Thanks. All right.
Hey,
Let's
hey,
see.
Willie?
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
Just a quick comment on Gil. What you said. Jacob Collar. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's a pianist. He just posted an arrangement of New York State of Mind. Now you know it's New York State of Mind. There's no doubt about it. But you also know it's him.
Yeah.
I mean the runs, the embellishments, the improv. When you hear it, if you listen to enough of his music, you know it's him.
Mm-hmm.
But you also know it's New York State of Mind.
Yeah.
So I think that's the point you're trying to.
Yeah. It's there's usually like kind of like there's like a fork in the road, and again I want to just preface by saying this fork in the road, whichever way you go in that fork, it's absolutely fine. It's not like, oh, this fork is I did the better musician, and this one's like, no. One way of going is, hey, look, I play what's on the recording. I play it note for note. I execute it like perfectly every single time. I'm in a GB band. Maybe I'm on a cruise ship, whatever it is. It's like, bam, I'm executing that stuff. Nothing wrong. Hey, look, to be honest with you, I'm kind of jealous of those cats. I mean, they're able to play that stuff, all the time. I myself can't do that. I know I get bored with that. Even if I can physically play all the notes, I would get bored like doing that lick over and over again. I just wouldn't do it. I know like eventually like 3 nights into the tour, I'd be like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm doing something different. So then I go in that other path, and that other path is like, here's the structure, but now you add your own improvisational sensibility. One is not better than the other, and one is not right more than the other. It's just a different way of approaching it. So that was one of the reasons why I brought Paul in too, because he kind of did all of that because he did a lot of GB work as well. Whereas like I've done GB work, like wedding bands and stuff like that, but not to the same level. Like he was doing that for years and in this really professional wedding band. And then in those bands, you got to play it, they're looking for it to sound like the album. So he had to play it all like, the way it's supposed to be played with the proper sounds. So all of his lessons are on the site, and you can check out all of that stuff if that's the direction you want to go. So anyway, Hung asks, I have a question on the postcard podcast number 41, How to Improvise Over Dominant Chords Part 1. In that podcast, you were saying that we should place the guide tones on beats 1 and 3, but we could place guide tones on beat 2 and 4 while we improvise. I don't remember exactly what I said or where I said that. The beats 1 and 3 are your strong beats, okay? So in the measure, beats 1 and 3, okay? So if I have, let's just pull up, just give me a second here. I'm just going to pull up a quick blues here. All right, so here's just a simple blues progression, right? All right, so now if I'm playing this, okay, in the left hand, I'll just play my chord shell, my root 7. So my improv, the 3rd and the 7th are going to sound good if I'm playing them on beats 1 and 3. And what I mean they're going to sound good is it's going to be strong. It's going to be strong with the chord. So if I start, right? So if I start on like, on D sharp, the sharp 9, and then resolve on the and of 1, or maybe even beat 2 onto the guide tone, you can hear it doesn't sound all that good. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, so that right there on 3 sounds good, but this 1 and, right? That's not so good. But if I do like, now you hear it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now you hear it by playing the 3rd and the 7th on that beat 1 and 3. It's very strong, and it really identifies that chord sound. That's just a place to start. The reality is when you improvise, you could do pretty much whatever you want. I mean, like, is that bad to start on the sharp 9 and then resolve to the 3rd off the beat? No, it's absolutely fine, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But when we're first starting, we're trying to weave our way through improvisation. It's usually best if you could think about hitting those guide tones or those target notes that we talk about and really kind of hitting them on those strong beats, because it's just going to kind of make your improvisation just a little bit better in that beginning phase, right? So that's why I say that. But no, ultimately, when it comes down to improvisation, you absolutely do not have to hit certain notes on certain beats in order, like I can play whatever I want. All right? Now, the reality, though, is, yeah, Willie, you can play whatever you want, but that sounds like craziness, okay? And that's not how I want to play. Okay, well, if you're not interested in craziness and you want it to kind of get solidified a little bit more, well, this is where now you're going to start to make some choices. For instance, like, okay, Willie, why are you making that choice of playing the major 7th? Because I'm being silly right now. Silly Willie, right? So major 7th obviously is not going to be a good choice, right? So now I want to kind of dive into it, and now I'm starting to slow this down a little bit and make it more compositional, like, right, so now I can start to shape these lines a little bit more. I know I'm going to start maybe on the 7th, or I'm going to start on the 3rd. I kind of resolve to one of those notes, okay? So that's where we use those guide tones. We use the strong beats, because now we're starting to really kind of hone in our improvisation, right? So hopefully that helps. Nathan on YouTube says, I'll work out to become like you. All right, well, just practice. Practice piano. That's the main thing right now, right? Ooh, yeah, good. Okay, awesome. I'm going to be like, I don't know, maybe? Is it possible that I might be the next rock? Yeah, probably not. I will tell you this, right? So since we're having a little bit of fun with the working out thing, especially for you younger players, well, actually for all players, but I was going to say especially for younger players, but also as we get older as well, working out and physically working out the body. I don't mean at the piano. I'm talking away from, jumping jacks, whatever, like all that stuff, like calisthenics, whatever it is you do, HIIT workouts, running, weightlifting. That working out all helps back at the instrument. I could tell you absolutely, all right? So if we think about what do we really need to do at the instrument, right? Well, number one, back, right? So if your back is weak, if you're not doing anything for your back, and literally for your back, it's just simple as just walk, right? If you're walking, okay, that's going to naturally strengthen your back. Maybe things like leg lifts and stuff like that, planks, that would be good as well. Any of that kind of stuff, strengthening your core. So any strengthening of your core, planks, that kind of stuff is good. Wall sits, you could, take a look at core strengthening stuff. What about this stuff right here, right? So shoulders. One great thing is I'll do the barbells and light, like 10 pounds, but you could do like 5 or 2.5, and you just out like this, right? So when you're doing it, I don't have enough space to really demonstrate it, but you're just going out and it just kind of opens this up, right? And you can also do the lateral raises as well, like that, or off to the side. If you even just do this, no weight, you'll feel that right in your shoulder, right? So you want to build this up. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be like, oh, yeah, come on. No, it's not that kind of building up. We're talking light weights. The other important one is like, rotator cuff, that kind of stuff. Because I'm telling you, as you play the instrument, if you don't have some physical chutzpah behind you, if you don't have some physical, like, all right, I got a little bit here. Again, you don't have to be The Rock, all right? You don't have to be like, but at least if you have a little bit of physical, muscle tone, it is going to help you at the instrument for sure. So just food for thought, something to think about. Steve, my body is a finely tuned instrument. Excellent. All right, so does anybody else have any other questions before I let you go? Anyone else? Going once? Twice? You're welcome, Steve. Absolutely. Anyone over on YouTube or Facebook? All right. That's it. All right. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I will put the recording up shortly for you. If you want to watch the recording, you can also always go back to the YouTube channel and take a look at the live recordings on the Jazz Edge YouTube channel. If you have not taken a look at jazzpianodaily.com, I would suggest taking a look at Jazz Piano Daily. One thing I like about Jazz Piano Daily, well, for those of you who don't know what it is, I'm doing these short daily piano lessons. I say jazz, and right now it's mostly jazz, but we're going to also get into other styles as we move along. But I'm committed to doing that every day for a year. All right, so we're now on day, I don't know, I'm up to like day 44 or something like that. So we're going to have a full 365. One thing that's great about those lessons is that they're kind of short, bite-sized. They kind of touch on many different topics. And one thing that students have been saying is it's nice because, you know, I'm working on TCI or standards by the dozen, and these Jazz Piano Daily things are just good reminders, right? So it's a nice way of you know, reminding you about different topics and giving you some different topics to work on without sending you down this whole path, right? So it's not like, okay, here's another course to take a look at, and you're like, oh, now I got to go through this whole course. With Jazz Piano Daily, just little ideas that you can kind of pluck out and utilize. So if you haven't seen it, just go back to jazzpianodaily.com and you can sign up there. Bear in mind, the site that's there right now is a temporary site. The full site is going to be going live in the beginning of September. All right. That's it, everybody. Have yourselves a good one. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Thanks, guys.